This show is brought to you by Bussco, your entrepreneurial hub on the web.
Hey there, welcome to Survival Instincts, the Entrepreneurial show. I'm your host, Amy Gafash, and if you ever feel that you're about to go nuts while starting or growing your own small business, let me tell you, you have come to the right place. In this space, we talk about everything business while we try to decipher why in the world we ended up in the mess of business ownership, and most importantly, how to survive it. Today's phrase is just get it done. And on that note, let's get it started.
Are we viral already?
No, studio, we are not.
Okay. Let's try this one more time.
Viral or not, I cannot start this episode without thanking you. Thanking you for your support with the first episode and thanking you for tuning in once again. Although we might not be viral yet, our audience was higher than some college classes. And that tells you something. More than just being a number on a screen and measuring like some type of metric, what I actually loved is that I could connect with people in the audience that they decided to share their dreams, their ideas, their testimonies. And to be honest, that meant everything. So thank you so much once again. I wanted to take this space to do that. And now, without further ado, let's get it started. For those of you who are still listening, including my grandma, welcome back to the show. This is episode number 2. In our previous episode, we started talking about our passions and New Year's resolutions. And somehow we ended up in the verge of a new existential crisis. Keeping our together, that was a pretty nice first episode, I would say. Hey, this is like therapy. Open it once and see you in 2 weeks. We got jokes over here today. Anyways, being serious, in the last episode, we were actually talking about the importance of having a strong reason why. And I know what some of you might have thought. Another show talking about the same about finding your motivator and your reason why and all that crap and blah, blah, blah. I get it. And yes, unfortunately, you have to suck it up. Because if we talk about this having a strong reason why that much, don't you think that it's because we have a strong reason why? Get it? Get it? Okay, moving on. Honestly, like having a strong reason why, it's like the foundation that you will have. Because it's like what will keep you going and going when all the crap, when all the bullshit, when all the stress of the everyday like operations and life comes down to you. So when you are facing all those problems, if you don't have a strong reason why you're doing things, you will quit. It's as simple and as complex as that. Just make sure that you have a strong reason why you do things and what you want out of your life. Because if you don't, you will just quit. And I'm not business guru. I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not a motivator. I'm none of that. But I've been in this game for a while and it's fat shit crazy out there. So please have that as your motivator. Please find it. That's why we started with why you have to have a strong reason why. You got it? Now, if you don't really know where to start or you're a little bit confused of what you want out of life, maybe this exercise that I did a few years ago will help you out. After all, when I did it, I wished I had done it sooner. So the first thing that you're going to do is take a piece of paper. And actually, let me see if I have mine around here. I took it the other day. Give me a second. Found it. If you're watching the video, then this is it. Nothing fancy. If you are just listening to this episode, then I'm going to read it. So first thing, take the piece of paper. Second thing, write down, what do I really want out of life? And think. So I know it's going to be a little bit messy, and it's like, what do I really want out of life? And that's such a broad question. But the point of this is like to start identifying those pillars or those values or things that you find important in your life and take it from there. So I read from the note. First thing, be happy. Second thing, love and be loved. Third thing, succeed with my goals. Fourth, live a long, happy, economic problem-free life. Always have 10 times the money that I need. And be able to help as much people as I can to make a positive change in their life. That's what it's written here. And I did this like in 2018 or something like that. And I'm not saying that those have to be your goals or that those are the things, like the right things that you need to want out of life or out of your life. But that's what the younger version of me wanted. So I think that's kind of the beauty of the exercise as well, because one thing is that this thing is not set in stone. Like, things can change, and that's the thing, that as you go, you will evolve, you will grow, you will learn new things. And that initial list will change a little bit. But at the end of the day, you will see the transformation and like the values that you have in your life. Or you just can keep it and make fun of yourself a few years later. Economic problem-free life. What is this? How so hippie? Anyways, another thing that I also realize is that sometimes it helps to write things down to get that clarity and just go back to the basics. Because sometimes we are just so involved with everyday life that we forget to look at the basics, to look at those essential things that define us, that make us what we are. Sometimes the only way that we can go back to the basics is when we're so tough that we don't really know what to do besides that. So don't let it get to that point. Start now. Just take that piece of paper and write down what you want out of your life. That's why the last episode inviting you to do that. So that's a good way to start, because when you have a clear picture of what you want to achieve, or like those milestone or big things that you want out of your life, you have a clear direction of where you're going. So when you know where you're going, it's just like the GPS, like you set the destination and from there you start building backwards. So it's like, I'm here, but I want to get here. So what do I need to do to get from here to here? And it's not like do, but it's like, if I'm A and I want to get to C, then there is B that I need to go through. But it's not only B that I need to go through, or not only C that I want to achieve. It will be later on, it will be L, then it will be P, then it would be maybe. We are always going to be evolving. We are always going to be looking for that next step. But we have to go through a bunch of stuff that it's necessary for, like, in order to get there. So that's one thing. And that's like why all of that was important. Normally those situations, or when we really take the going back to the basics or what we really want out of life seriously, is when we have like those inflection points in our lives that we find ourselves in some crossroads and without really knowing what to do. So I have had a few of those on my own. Not nice. You might even have one right now, and that's why you ended up watching this. So for me, like my last big like epiphany or crossroad that I encountered was like maybe almost like 4 years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. And I walked away from an opportunity that I pretty much worked my entire life to have, like since I was a kid. And you will think, oh, okay, well, you seem like a normal person, kinda. What made you make that decision? To be a full-time entrepreneur, of course. Come on. I traded the lucrative life of working as a lawyer at a boutique firm for something that not too long ago was the same thing as being unemployed. Bravo. Making my family proud. Anyways, today's topic is about setting expectations for those of you who still insist in not reading the title. And in our previous episode, we were actually talking about the survival tip number 1, or realization number 1, which is having a strong reason why. Yes, you got it. You see, entrepreneurship is not a walk in the park. And it's not because coming up with a good idea, it's difficult, or putting together a business plan. That's the easy part, I would say. It's hard because it's more like walking on a wire about 1,300 feet above ground, with your eyes closed, of course. And you know that you have to get to the other side. You know that you just have to walk the wire. But it's a wire over 1,300 feet above ground. You see the problem? You just don't know what to do. Like the next step, you know what you need to do to get to the other side. You just have to walk. You know how to walk. You have the wire, which are the tools that you need to get to the other side. But even if you know what to do, even if you have the knowledge because you know how to walk, or if you have the tools because you have the wire, you have the destination. Okay, nice. But how do you cross to the other side? And I think it's a little bit like that because with your eyes closed, you can know what the next step is. But even if you know and figure out what the next step is and where you need to place your feet, how do you know that a bird, a drone, or just a strong wind won't just happen and make you fall? So yeah, that's the reality that pretty much every business owner screams. Having your own business is hard. But hard why? And now you know why. Because you don't know what to do. And even if you pretend that you have your together and come up with an amazing plan and, like calendar and step-by-step process of what you need to do, you're leaving an important thing out. And that's survival tip number 2, that not everything is going to go according to plan, and that's fine. This one seems to be kind of obvious, but it's not that much. Sometimes we tend to forget that even if we do everything right, there are so many variables that just don't make it work. And it's more about what we do in that circumstance and making things work, even if, things don't go according to plan. This entire week didn't go according to plan. If you follow us on Instagram, you saw the show at its finest. And that's the thing, like, you have to adapt and keep moving forward. It's like I tell my husband sometimes, because we're just so stubborn about our goals and what we want to accomplish. And to be honest, I feel And I think that that's fine, to be obsessed with an idea and with something that you want to do. Always that it's good, not killing people or stuff. But yeah, like I believe that you need to be stubborn about your goals, but you need to be flexible about your methods, because not everything will go according to plan, and sometimes you have to improvise. Sometimes you can take part of what you had and make it even better. So yeah, that's one of the things. And I think that was like survival tip number 2 or 3. I guess we can call that number 3. Next survival tip or realization is that at the end of the day, entrepreneurs are excellent problem solvers. And it's just because when people said that having your own business is going to be a fun road, they tend to forget that life has its own definition of fun. And sometimes it doesn't align. But as I said before, it's more about what you can do with the situation that you have than making sure that you're following that perfect plan. Because if we see at what really entrepreneurs do is just come up with solutions for common problems, and they make a business out of that. As simple as that. So it's more about what you can do given the circumstances and how you can make something good out of it than following a perfect plan that at the end of the day, only God and the universe know if that could have happened. So I guess that it's about stressing less about the things that don't go according to plan and learning how to manage and thrive in those situations. And at the same time, I think that that's the other side, since entrepreneurs were always solving problems and trying to figure out solutions for work. We are just so exhausted when problems in everyday life happen, because it's like problems here, problems there, problems everywhere. And it's not about the problems. It's not about having problems or having issues or challenges. It's the pressure that everyone expects you to make the right choice. And it makes sense, because when you have your own business, you're not only working for yourself, you have clients that depend on you, you have workers and team players that depend on you, and not only them, but their families as well, your family. Like, it just takes it to a whole another level. Making the right decisions. And many times it's not even about making the right decision, but it's about taking action. Just that, take action. The next survival tip or realization, it's that it's better to have something done than to have something perfect. Because perfectionism is a killer of dreams. Don't do it. We tend to waste so much time making sure that everything goes perfect and smooth and that it has everything that people would like. And sometimes that's just us afraid of failing and facing the things that we might not be good at what we do. It might take us more time to develop. But at the same time, that's the thing. Like, you grow, you develop, you improve upon yourself. And even though that I would like to share many other tips with you today, you know how my week went. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us in this crazy and wild episode. If you like what you heard or find it valuable, please don't forget to subscribe to our channels or contact us. I loved those messages. Again, this is Amy Gefash, and it was an absolute pleasure to be your host today. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
This show is brought to you by Bussco, your entrepreneurial hub on the web.